What's going on, Donald? What's up, buddy?
Oh man, not much, man. It's been a minute since I've been able to get on the air, brother.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Well, glad to have you back on. Shoot, man. I know work ended up taking a hold of you and saying, nope, we got bigger and better things for you to do.
Yeah, man, that's a conspiracy in itself, man.
Right? Hey, well, welcome in, everybody. You guys are watching Conspiracy Friday with Donald and Brian. And we do have a special guest co host with us today who want to
Sa-
join in on the fun with us. We're going to be talking about the Lahaina fires, and there's kind of a lot of different conspiracies behind it. So, who better to talk it over with Jason Steiner?
What's up, fellas?
What up, buddy? Welcome in, man.
I'm rocking my 50-mile March shirt tonight. Hero stock hat.
What up? What up? What's going on? Welcome in. Oh, Harold Stock. Oh, yeah.
Hero
Look at
stock's in the
that.
house.
Shoot. Well, hey, man, you know what? We're excited for this one. We're going to be talking a little bit about the fires and stuff that went down in Lahaina. You guys know, here we go, a little bit of a map, Maui. And there was several fires, actually, that happened there. And we'll get ready to kind of go down the rabbit hole and kind of do the timeline and stuff like that. But Donald, what do you know about the Lahaina fires, and what kind of conspiracies have you heard about?
Well, I definitely know it got hot. So,
Boom, boom.
so I as I went through this, it dawned on me that some of these conspiracies, man, people were really digging deep to find something that, in some cases, just really wasn't there. You know,
Yeah.
I give you, for instance, the whole the right wing tried to blame this on the woke people, saying that
Doc, what up?
that they were intentionally trying to hide and delay water to put the fires out because people believed that the water didn't that wasn't the purpose of using water, was to put out fires. I mean, come on, man. People were losing their homes from that area. Woke or not, I'm sure you want a roof over your head, you know? So I seriously doubt that wokeness had anything to do with the how long it took and those problems. When you start digging, and me and Brian, we talked about this before the show. Nobody's ever accused recently of our government being smart, and sometimes people just make dumb decisions. And I think some of these places where people are looking for conspiracies, it just really was just some dumb decisions. Now some of these other situations, uh, there might be some shit there. There's still some smoke and there might be some fire there. So let's talk about the whole conspiracy behind bringing down the property value and people buying up land cheaper. It's no secret that Hawaii is pretty damn expensive, and once the place is built back up, it ain't no secret that it will one day be booming again, and those who hold the land will hold a lot of equity and a lot of money. So, yes, that is plausible that these fires could have been started and people seen an opportunity to say, hey, why are we actually putting this out? A lot of these people ain't going to be able to rebuild.
Right.
You could buy land a lot cheaper when the house is ashes than you can when there is a house on it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I think sometimes people look at leaders, well, at least that are in that position, as like the save alls.
yeah,
And sometimes they're not they're not the most smartest people, you know what I mean? And sometimes they make really bad decisions that do this little sus. But
Right.
Jason, what have you heard about it, brother? And what kind of conspiracies have you heard of?
Man, there's so many. Like you got the laser, you've got the property values. That's another big one that I've heard. The missing kids, right? There was like 100 missing kids down there that nobody's talking about. A lot of this still it comes back to that. What media source is trusted? There is no trusted media source anymore. So all these conspiracy theories are coming out because who do you go to find out the facts? There is no one, because if you watch CNN, it's one thing. If you watch another network, it's another thing. Nobody's telling the same stories. It's so contradicted all the way across the board. So then you have to start digging on your own. And now we have conspiracy theories. What really happened? Was it lasers? Was it a testing of a powerful laser to take away the value of the land for the rich to buy up the land for cheap to develop it into more money for them?
Yeah.
That's the scary thing, is there's no way to really know, because nobody tells the truth.
Not only that, but you got to watch out, because there's opportunists. When they see things go down, they will do whatever they can to get likes, clicks on their videos, all those types of things. And so it also puts out so much misinformation out there that it starts to get convoluted. And you really have to make sure you're going down the right path or the right rabbit hole, so to speak, because you could really end up down in the wrong place, man. You know what I mean? Because that's what I'm saying. It's hard. This could be a true conspiracy theory, but because everybody wants to throw the really crazy, weird ones out there. Yeah, the Oprah Winfrey, that's the whole
Rock
thing too, and with the Rock, that's a big thing that a lot of people don't like, and made a big thing about.
Well, and I haven't heard about that $10 million being dispersed. Because supposedly they put in $5 million apiece to start this basically GoFundMe to help all these people in Hawaii. I haven't heard about $10 million being dispersed down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw The Rock even come back with like apologizing, oops, I probably shouldn't have asked you guys for money, being that I'm already rich.
A billionaire and a multi-millionaire out there asking the hardworking blue-collar folks to give their money to Hawaii, which, you know what, I have no issues. I just want to make sure it actually goes to the right hands.
Right.
So let's expand on that for a second, right? First, there's a saying amongst the rich. The only real tragedy of a crisis is not taking advantage of it.
Yep.
So if something tragic happens and you don't find the advantage in it, well, then that's the tragedy. Right. Second of all, the first rule to being rich is to not use your money.
Right.
So, of course, it makes sense for them to donate money to help the people that don't want to leave from our money, so they can save their money to buy the land that was left over. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, the things that some of the rich people do, and that's another reason why, I may live comfortable, but I'll never be rich, because I like to be able to put my head on my pillow at the end of the night. You have to literally be willing to just say fuck other people and step on them.
Right. Yeah. Sacrifice morals and that kind of stuff to be rich.
I've had jobs like that. I used to work for a company and repossess cars, dude. And the saddest thing is to watch a single mom or a single dad trying to figure out how the fuck he's gonna get to work the next day, because he got in over his head on a buy here, pay here fucking car that they have sold 6 times, because I've repossessed it 3 times already.
Right.
Yeah. And on top of that, fucking all these fucking homes that got repossessed and fucking bought up by these places that fucking made the payments for these people while they kicked them out and was renting it to other people until they could get it sold. And they just fucking stole the equity out from underneath the people that lost it. I mean, it just makes me sick, man.
Yep.
But I know that's another conspiracy, but at the end of the day, I'm sure the rich has found a way to where the tragedy is, whether that had anything to do with the fires or not. There's people profiting off of what's happened in Hawaii. I
Sure.
promise.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So before we get too much into more of the conspiracy, kind of let's just go down the timeline. We'll run everybody through it all, just in case maybe a lot of people are like, well, what the hell is going on with the Lahaina fires? So let's kind of go take a look. So the Lahaina wildfire timeline, August 7th, Maui faces high winds and high wind alerts. On August 8th, there was a brush fire, which was reported at 12:20 a.m. in Kula area. Around 6:30 a.m., a brush fire is reported in Lahaina. 9 a.m., Lahaina was declared 100% detained. Then at 3 p.m., the Kula fire spread, as well as a flare-up started again in Lahaina. Around 5 p.m., the situation in Lahaina turns increasingly dire. And then at 9:45 p.m., this is all on August 8th, Mayor Richard Bisson issued an emergency proclamation in response to the fires. On August 9th, West Maui is without power and has no landline or cell phone service. Early reports show 6 lives were lost, but the total was expected to climb. The Lahaina fire was reported to be 80% contained. On August 10th, the fire department reported progress in fighting all 3 fires across Maui, because there was more than just the Lahaina fire. And I will show a map kind of showing you guys how that all played out. August 10th, fire department reported progress in fighting all 3 fires. Officials announced the death toll had risen up to 55 people. August 11th, officials announced the Lahaina fire is 85% contained. The Kalui fire is 80% contained, and the upcountry Maui fire is 50% contained. The death toll rose to roughly 80 deceased. On August 12th, the fire in the Pukuli and Kanapali, don't ask me to say these words, gosh, region was extinguished, impacting 1 acre. The death toll rose to 93. August 13th, the Lahaina fire was deemed 85% contained, impacting an estimated 2,170 acres. And the Palua Kauai fire was 100% contained at this point in time on August 13th. So Maui County officials say as of August 28th, the Lahaina fire remains at 90% contained, affecting an estimated 2,170 acres. The Olinda fire, affecting an estimated 1,081 acres, is 85% contained, while the Kalua fire is 90% contained, affecting an estimated 202 acres. The total death toll was 99. So here's some of the conspiracy that kind of came from a little bit of all this stuff. In the aftermath of the lethal wildfires that destroyed the town of Lahaina and Maui in Hawaii, residents whose homes burned to the ground are receiving salutations from off-island real estate investors to scoop up their land. So there kind of goes to the whole thing about real estate. This is another one that I don't think we talked about, but only blue items survive the Maui wildfires and lasers do not impact that color, suggesting the island was actually hit by a directed energy weapon attack, which I guess we kind of talked about it, but we didn't really talk about the blue tarp portion. Then there was were planned as part of a strategic effort to weed out less wealthy residents on Maui and make room for multi-million-dollar developments. That goes along kind of with the smart city type stuff. All right, so that kind of gave us a little bit of I don't know if the fire is actually 100% contained even to this day. I think there still might even be a little bit of some fire going on. We just don't hear about it much anymore. Obviously, because there's bigger, better news, I guess, out there. But you know, it's kind of crazy is when you start going down the rabbit hole for Lahaina, it's a lot harder now,
Right.
with all the everything else going on.
Right. Well, and that's just funny because like the news sources don't even talk about it anymore. You know, now
No.
we're moved on to
Ukraine, we're moved on to Israel, Palestine, all that.
Yep.
And you don't even hear about Hawaii anymore.
Exactly. Here's another one that I'll show real quick that there's kind of a weird one that this is the only one this is the only house that supposedly was not burnt at all or affected whatsoever.
You see tornadoes do that kind of stuff, right? Where it like misses houses and that kind of thing, or takes a house but leaves a barn standing. But a fire doesn't work that way.
Right. Yeah. A fire is definitely different. And I mean, I've been to Maui. I've been to Lahaina actually. And you know what's crazy is how moist it was there. For me to think how much a fire ripped through there, the heat that had to have going down for it to burn through kind of a wet plain. I mean, I did kind of read some reports that they said that they were going through a drought time, but you're surrounded by water. I mean,
right.
You know what I mean?
So
go ahead, Don.
I did a real quick Google search, right? So that whole blue laser thing, if the only laser that won't hit and burn a blue object is an ultraviolet ultraviolet laser
with red or something in it, right? Or
the
some
color,
kind of spectrum.
Color blue will reflect ultraviolet colors, so it won't burn something that's blue, right? However, in to debunk that, there wasn't just blue objects that did survive in the fire. There was things that wasn't burned that was other colors besides blue. So if it was an ultraviolet laser that struck down from Zeus's ass and just destroyed Hawaii with an ultraviolet laser, it would have took out everything that wasn't blue besides the blue items.
I don't know, man. I see him with like a big old fork like thing, like you're sitting there like out of the ass.
That's where the ultraviolet comes from the other side. You're
Oh man. What's kind of funny as we talk kind of about the whole conspiracy stuff. I'm going to kind of show you guys another clip here, how much conspiracies happen when things go down.
Conspiracy theories.
As our Ben Gutierrez reports, there's a lot of bad information to keep up with.
Do not rely on people who fancy themselves as influencers.
Governor Josh Green blasted social media posts that he and others say are spreading misinformation about the Lahaina wildfires, such as how it started. That's still under investigation, and that federal agencies can't be trusted.
You have people who are predators on social media. We know that for a fact. You have people who want to spread negativity.
Like this post claiming FEMA was confiscating shipping containers with supplies. FEMA has its own social media and says it's actually just coordinating with relief agencies. Another post tries to debunk a rumor that people who apply for assistance could get their property confiscated by the feds.
After a crisis like this, trust in government, I think, really does suffer. And the only way to overcome that is for our public officials to deliver consistent messages, to deliver high-quality services as quickly as possible.
It wasn't the government doing an inside job, trying to take out Kanaka. It wasn't a space laser or something like that. It's just a horrible tragedy.
Hoku Award-winning rapper and recording artist Thomas Iannucci took to his Instagram, pleading with people to stop spreading misinformation.
I mean, it's hard already to find the correct info, but it's getting hard to find almost any info because it's so, right, if you go on TikTok, you look up the Maui fires or Lahaina and that stuff, it's all conspiracy kind of stuff.
I think a week of some understandable chaos in this tragic situation is understandable. But now I think residents should expect and deserve very clear communications from the state and from the county.
The reason you should trust us is because this is our home. The reason you should trust us is we're the ones who suffered the loss. That's the reason you should trust us.
Ben.
Okay, there wasn't too much that I agreed with there. There was a whole lot of you should trust us because of historically we have fucked y'all. Because
Right.
let me tell you
What's up,
something.
Eric?
That whole FEMA conversation, yeah, that wasn't the case with fucking Hurricane Katrina. I can promise you that. Those motherfuckers was pocketing money left and right. They left those people out to hang and swim. You know, people were in places to hide. You know, granted, yes, it was their fault for not leaving, but that's beside the point. When FEMA came in there was no supplies to give them because the money never made it. And that is a fact. There was people that was relieved from FEMA over that shit. So, yeah, that's the reason why people don't trust you no more is because in the past, you fucked them.
Right.
You know, and lately the conspiracy guys have kind of been on it. So,
But I was just gonna say that's it. Everybody calls it a conspiracy theory, but when they keep coming true, it's hard to keep calling it a conspiracy.
yeah.
And like I was telling Donald, man, you know, with conspiracies, the only thing that you can wait for is time, because time will tell you at the end of the, you know, so a lot of times when someone doesn't want you to believe something or something, obviously they're going to try to send you down the wrong path, you know. And one of the things too, when the first thing that someone tells you, you can trust me, the first thing you probably need to do is
turn
not trust that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, turn around, not to be stabbed.
you know, like this dude's like, oh, you could trust me. Yeah. Yeah. Why? Because you can. Yeah.
Right.
Like, really,
Well,
dude?
it goes back to Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan said, what was it? The 9 worst words in the English language, or the 9 worst, the sentence with the 9 words, whatever it was in the English language is, we're the government and we're here to help you. That's the worst thing you can ever hear, you know, because government they're not there to help. And, you know, you can take conspiracy theory. It goes back to JFK. Where did the term conspiracy theory get dubbed? Right after JFK got murdered, because it was a conspiracy theory that the government killed him. And now they've come out and said they killed him. You know, so it's like hard to argue with
And time
conspiracy.
came, you know, and time told time. You know what I mean? The thing about it is, dude, and that's the part that is always concerning is how much crap gets thrown at it. So everybody's like, oh, it's fake. It's gotta be fake. They put so much fake crap at it. So now everybody's just like, oh, debunked. It's fake. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I'm not even going to get onto another conspiracy, but there's a lot of conspiracy going on between what's going on in the world over on the, you know, Israel and the whole Gaza, in the back and forth between their media, the regular media, the social medias. I mean, oh my gosh, the crazy amount of information that comes through.
Yeah,
and it's always going to reflect whoever's narrative they want to positively spin it, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes shit so tough, though, man. And you know what's even more rough is I could tell you this too, and I never knew much about it until I started doing podcasting, but how much you can do with editing, video editing.
Right.
You can cut things out to where nothing's behind it, insert that into a situation, make it look like it's, you know, going down. And I mean, not a lot of people just sit there and stare at their screen and like, that doesn't look right. You know, they're just sitting back, listening to sound and whatever. And it could be whatever narrative wants to be played, but with a video that matches it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because of video editing.
Yep.
Dude, I was listening to a podcast, a Joe Rogan show, and there was a guy on there that said he was talking to a guy that makes money off of this shit. He finds these events that are going on, and he searches for people that's got video footage of it, right? And he buys their video footage, he edits it, and the side that he thinks that Fox News would want to see that benefits the right agenda. He cuts that, edits it, and sends that to Fox News and sells that to them. The side that when all of a sudden the side where it looks like the cops beating the shit out of the other guy, he edits that part and sends that to CNN. So he and his theory is don't never let an animal goes to waste. Use the whole animal. So
Sure. he double dips on it, man, and that's but that's the reason right now why we have conspiracy theories is because you don't have any trusted media to get any source of information from.
None. That's why I listen to podcasts and I have the ability to think for myself. So I can listen to one person talk and listen to their argument and make my decision on whether I believe what they're saying is true or full of shit.
Right.
I mean, you'll be surprised how many people get their news right off of TikTok and then they run with it. You know what I mean? Or something to that degree.
I mean,
I've even had to my wife's brought stuff to me and I'm like, babe, that's fake. You know what I mean? Or, that one's not real, and I'll show you why. And I have to kind of go through and show her. And I'm just like, see, I mean, this is the world we live in. It's easy to, I've done it myself. I've been fooled before, but you only can fool me once, man. After that, I'm always going to be super skeptical after that on everything, so that's just how I've been ever since. But, I know how easy it is for someone to dupe you, man, or make you think something.
But on the flip side of that, I got off of TikTok or maybe it was Instagram, one of the two. They were talking about that day of jihad that was like last Friday or whatever. And I said something to my wife about it. She's like, well, I haven't heard anything about that. And I said, well, I've heard it all over the place. Like I've seen this like all over. It was probably 3 hours later. She texted me and she's like, so they just ran it across the news. I'm like, I heard it days before the news ran it. And then, of course, nothing really happened, but, it was still, maybe
stuff never happened because of, we put the awareness out there, man. I don't know. And then we get boomed on another day.
Did that same day in your home state there, buddy.
What's that?
Something did happen on that day in your home state.
Really?
Nebraska, yeah. Nebraska did pop off, dude, actually.
Hornaday, the plant.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's true. Their chemical plant.
Yep, it didn't have anything to do with jihad, but where they mix their farmers.
Right.
I know.
Well, that we know of, right? I mean, it still could, but.
Only reason why I know is because we send them lead.
And I send that downrange.
Now you'll be sending downrange for just a little bit more.
Yeah, right. No doubt, huh? No doubt. Just what we needed. But no, and that's it. It's sad because we'll probably what happened in Hawaii, right? I mean, it'll come out, somewhere or another. Where is it going to turn into a smart city now? And all of a sudden, now the billionaires own the land. But was that the reason why this happened? Or did they just take advantage of it? And now the conspiracy is true, but it really wasn't the reason why it happened.
Yeah. And so, back, from what everybody, I mean, at least the government officials are saying is that, the main cause of the fire, the only thing that kind of throws me off is the multiple areas that it kind of happened in.
Right.
It wasn't really just to one area, but it was the down power lines and stuff like that.
Right.
I guess because it really, even here in California, it really gets me to think that we've gotten so far in life, but they don't know how to handle some wind on some power poles, and that's still creating a fire, and they're getting knocked down. Like we haven't learned how to build those to where that's not a thing,
right?
Because I'm sure that never happened before,
Right.
So those kind of things, it just kind of makes me wonder, like in terms of what they did for their infrastructures and stuff like that. I mean,
Right.
Let's kind of look through. Here's the 3 spots. I guess there's maybe 4 kind of spots if you look at it, even though the red areas are where the fires were on Maui. The very top left one is Lahaina, and then the middle ones are those Kuis and Gluis and all that stuff that I was saying.
Right.
But dude, I mean, look at the devastation from this. I mean, this thing ripped through there and just, I mean, there's nothing there. And the Lahaina was a whole city and a whole town, man, right there. You know, Lahaina is a very popular town in Maui. And look at how bad these cars melted, bro. Like, there's just nothing left. This fire had to be a major inferno. And for it just to rip through the roads and stuff like that, man. Look at that. Just a whole city gone.
And then you got that kind of green patch on that last picture. You got kind of a green patch up in the right-hand corner.
Like it doesn't even look like it's a part of the same city.
Right.
And it's like a perfect little square. Savor that. That's part of the city we own.
Right.
I mean, that kind of stuff, you know. Look at how inferno that was, bro.
Were they dropping water in? Does anyone know were they flying water in and dumping it?
I don't think so, and I think that there was the some of it you're hearing is there was issues of getting water to the fire.
They're surrounded by a fucking ocean,
right? And you would think that they would have boats there and stuff like that. There's that one house again that survived with the red roof that we all were talking about earlier. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You would think they would have boats just out there, just launching, you know, water, like making, you know, a tidal wave on there.
All right.
But it was even, dude, the rescue effort itself was a problem. They were having issues getting people off of the island, that people were getting stranded. I'm going to show this clip real quick, kind of what people were saying, that they were getting blocked in. They weren't even able to get out of there.
Right.
Timeline comes into focus, and there are some surprises. Lahaina Luna Road, where it meets the highway, that was shut down at one point. Keawe Street and Honoapilani northbound was shut down during the height of the evacuation for over 2 hours. Downed power lines entangled these cars on Honoapilani Highway near Kapunakea, 1 block north of Lahaina Gateway. This man at 2:53 p.m. August 8th is unsure if the lines are energized and removes the power line from his SUV using a branch. Videos shot by Travis Miller shortly after he goes in and out of Safeway at 3 p.m. show northbound lanes then shut down. This video shows no cars on the blocked-off highway still 5:24 p.m., 2.5 hours later, when Debbie Schultz-Peterson shot this video. Miller's video documented the lane closure during that time. He says police directed traffic down Keawe Street into the cannery.
And either went out the backside on the front street. I could see that everyone was blocked, so I went out and I came this way, and I got under the power line.
Though we are not crossing the barricade, we're told we cannot film here.
You go somewhere else, but you guys not allowed here.
Big cloud of black smoke past the window.
Before 4:30 p.m., Chantal Katnak is on the other side of the road closure, trying to get to the highway north from the vicinity of the bypass.
There was only one cop in that area where we were at, blocking for us to go to Keawe Street.
She and her son Keanu can't even get down to the cannery. She follows a line of cars, taking a residential back road north, leading through Waikuli. She detours to Old Stewart Road, which eventually becomes a dirt residential street. However, the bypass is right behind her, only it's closed. But there's more. Those trying to exit the middle of town from Lahaina Luna are also obstructed heading southbound. Before 3:30 p.m., Amanda Cassidy is among the early evacuees.
Anything could happen at any second, and I know that every second counts in those moments.
She leads.
Dude, I remember seeing on the news people were walking out into the ocean because the fire was coming down.
Yeah, no. Yeah, there's actually TikToks, videos and stuff of people literally sitting there video selfing themselves while they're in the water and just it's in ash, dude, just covered in ash, dude.
Well, and the crazy thing to me was the boats that were anchored offshore that were on fire. And I'm like, how does a boat 200 yards offshore catch on fire? And, and it was all of them. It wasn't just like one. There was like a whole pile of them that were on fire.
I think they said the winds were up to about 70 miles per hour, something like that. I mean, that just the wind gusts had to be outrageous for, for one, it even went across the freeway and stuff like that, right there on pavement and everything. I mean, obviously that wind was just because, dude, look at the cars too, the way that they are just torched. It looked like someone literally was taking a torch and just, I mean, the wind had to be fucking going crazy status for the way the carnage that it created.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy when you look at those pictures and think that was all just a brush fire.
Right. And not only that, but in a tropical area.
Right.
That
like
is,
Donald said, you're surrounded by water. Why were they not flying water in and dumping it?
Extremely humid there.
Even if you couldn't fly it in, dude, there's a military installation there that has massive fucking pumps that will fling fucking water for.
It's on Honolulu. Yeah. They have, it's a little bit, I mean,
you can't fly water, but you can fly a pump to the fucking next island over.
Yeah, they certainly could have got the boats there, I'm sure, within time. I mean, frame. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Maybe they just, man, it's hard to say, to think what they were thinking, because they lost a whole city, a whole town, and that was a money-making place for them.
Right. But you start throwing up, billion-dollar
smart cities
in there. Look at how much more money they can make on it.
Right. And I mean, like I said before, time will tell, and time will be the tall tale. It will be, honestly, if all of a sudden you start seeing these smart cities and all these billionaires and everything, like, well,
that's going to happen regardless.
That's just it.
Identity.
Well, that's just it. And I mean, if they were saying that a lot of the people that live there didn't have a lot of money and stuff like that, I mean, and I don't even know what, if any insurance place would even touch you living on an island.
Probably not.
I mean, I guess with fire, maybe like, oh yeah, what's the chances of the place burning down? Maybe that, maybe. But then maybe everybody's like, what do we need insurance for fire for around here? We're never going to have a fire.
Well, and I don't want to take away from the Maui thing, but did you guys ever see the video of the aerial video of Canada when Canada started on fire? And it was a time-lapse video, and it was like a 4-hour video. And it was like one fire here, one fire here, one fire here, and they just kept multiplying, but it wasn't like one major fire that just started spreading. It was all these little pinpointed fires all over the place. And it was, like I said, it was like a 4-hour time lapse video.
Well, it does kind of correlate to this, because there's other conspiracies about this type of things where fires are starting to happen in big cities.
Right.
And they're starting to see, and then I guess once these places, get totally burnt down, I guess the state or someone comes in and deems them whatever they deem them, and then that way the people can't come back and live in them. But then the investors seem to come around and buy up the land. I don't know if there's a time frame that goes by, like, hey, we're deeming this uninhabitable for 5 years. You know what I mean? So, but the land is for sale.
Right.
We'll buy. and then we're going to start developing plans for the next 5 years. And then bada bing, bada boom. And the other thing about it is, dude, is once all this stuff settles down, everybody's going to have forgotten.
Right.
Everybody's going to be forgotten, and they're not going to be like, at this point
Wait
in
a
time,
minute.
everybody's going to be moved on with their life and have some other stress going on and move in some other neighborhood.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you're going to see, boom, all these things happen, and no one's going to sit there and be like, hey, remember those Lahaina fires about 5-10 years ago?
Yep.
And now look at all these sky fucking scrapers, and it's like a utopia over here.
Yep.
That's another effect of the internet, man. It has destroyed our attention to detail because we're fed information so fast, man. It just
absolutely.
So we move on like that too,
Yep. Well, you've already seen it, right? We had the Lahaina fires. Now we've got, Israel and Pakistan or Palestine, and it's like people don't even think of, like, when you put this out, I was like, people have already forgot about this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, we've had Russia happen, with Ukraine. We've had this Israel thing, and that's going to be the biggest thing now.
Yep.
And you already see it going down. Like I said, it is constantly a back and forth right now between the sides, and misinformation. Well, we got proof. And then they're showing their proof, and then everybody's like, well, we got proof over here, and they're showing their kind of. It's just crazy, man.
It
and
just
that
seems
just
like
goes with every type of situation we got. Everybody's trying to capitalize, bro. We live in a capitalist type of world where everybody just capitalize. They see an opportunity, they're going to capitalize, even on like horrible situations. You see people willing to go take people's money and things of that nature when a death occurred or whatever. They'll go make some fun up acting like, oh, this was my long lost brother. Like they didn't even know him from a can of paint, but they're going to go try to bank off of it.
Yep. Well, Hurricane Katrina, I got asked to go down there and do flooring down there after it happened, after they were doing the cleanup and stuff. They're like, dude, we're like killing it down here. We're charging 4 times what we do back there. And, and they were profiting off of a disaster. And, they were good, honest people, but at the same time, it was like, well, if I can make 4 times the amount of money, why wouldn't I go down there and work? And it was, the thing is, everything seems to me anymore like it's a distraction. So you're always looking at what's coming next. Okay, now we got, Israel and Palestine. We've offered the people of Lahaina $700 a month per family, where they can't even buy groceries off of that. You've got Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine was pissed because now with Israel and Palestine has taken, Palestine has taken the focus off of them. So we just sent them $100 million. And it's like,
and I think that we basically said that's our last check to them as well. Because of this going on, now our focus and our money is directed elsewhere. It's just crazy.
Yeah. And it's, it's what's the next thing that's going to pop up? That's kind of where I am anymore.
How much did they donate to housing homeless veterans?
I think that was probably around 0.
Oh, 0.
Yeah. Because we don't care about those guys. We care about,
well,
Ukraine.
It used to be more than that, but they had to pull them out of that hotel and put in immigrants. I remember that.
Yeah, that's just it. We have so many problems on our own soil, and yet we're shipping billions and billions and billions of dollars overseas for Ukraine and their, what they call it, the wasn't their benefit package, but it was some sort of a, here, we're going to give your people billions of dollars, but yet we have how many people here struggling day in and day out to keep a roof over their head or get off the streets or,
or better yet, bro, we got Oprah and The Rock asking people for money.
Yep.
You know what I mean? 2 million billionaires. You know, I mean, one of them's definitely a billionaire. The other one's probably a millionaire, but they're still together. Both of them could rebuild that island, you know, damn near a good portion of it. Right. I mean, but here they are asking people for money, you know, in a time of when it's one of the worst times to go ask people for money right now.
Yep.
You know, everybody's wallet's being tight right now, dude, with groceries, gas, everything just going up the roof. And then you got people asking for people to help go build. And then we're sending off money to some foreign ass country, bro. And then the money ends up going into shit that ends up being used against us later on.
Yep.
I'm going to send him an email and ask him if he wants to buy a raffle ticket.
Yeah, and I mean that's that's the crazy thing is, and running a nonprofit, I saw it this year. You know, out of the 20 donors that I had from last year's event, I think we had like 5 returners this year, and everybody's like, "Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to do it this year." Price of gas, price of food, price of housing, price of insurance,
beer,
everything's went up. Beer, your price of beer has went up. You know, and
everybody's afraid of the unknown. They don't know what's coming.
Yep.
That's the other thing too, is a lot of people are kind of starting to put away and don't want to touch it, you know, because there is a lot of unknown, man. We don't know what's going to happen with our money market. You know, the war is going on left and right. They're talking, you keep hearing World War III, and when people really start buzzing words around, man, it just comes out. Next thing you know, we're in World War III. You know what I mean? So yeah, times are crazy, you know, but it's just like, what makes it crazier to me though, is times are crazy, but we're off here fucking funding Ukraine, and we're sending money here, we're sending money there.
Yep. We gave money
Someone
to
explain
Iran.
this to me. Someone explain this to me, man.
You haven't even seen top of it, man. One of those things where we've already forgot, you know, in just the last few years, every bill that Biden has signed has had aid money signed for foreign countries. Every bill has had countries attached to it, and how many millions of billions of dollars each country was going to get. You can go back and read them.
Well, you have to sort through 4,000 pages.
Right.
But you guys realize if we took all that money that we're fucking sending off to everybody else and we donated it to our families here, dude, do you think we'd have the homeless problems that we got? Do you think we'd have this? I mean, here in California, it is becoming a major epidemic.
Yeah.
I mean, because the prices don't go down, man. We're above $6 a gallon in gas prices right now. I mean, you know, there's no break, you know, and you just see the it's all rising. The homeless population, all that is rising. And then you keep hearing these stories of how much money. Oh, we just gave $2 billion to, you know, Iran. Well, what?
Right.
Huh? $2 billion to Iran in the Middle East.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Very well. 6 days later, some bombings happen. Oh, crazy. Same in that region. Okay.
Yep.
It just doesn't make sense to me, man. And here we are. We have people in Hawaii, Lahaina, lost their whole houses, lost everything. And here you say like they're getting $700 a month from their government. Here you go. Go figure it out.
Yeah.
Bro, $700 a month. I stayed at you guys' hotels and resorts there. That's maybe one night. $700.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It ain't cheap in Hawaii. No way, no how. But it really flabbergasts me when you hear how much money we're sending off here and there, and then you got all these people here in our home states, in our home country, struggling to the level that they're struggling. We can't even provide, mental health facilities and stuff like that for people that are mentally unstable. We just send them off to the streets and
Good luck.
fuck it, they're doing drugs and stuff. They can go over this street and do all the drugs they want to do, and just don't bother us.
Yeah, and now the government's even providing some, right? They're helping them. They're giving them the needles. They're giving them the syringes. They're giving them the drugs. It's like
The likelihood is they want them to OD. I mean, I hate to say it, but just like anybody else, they want to kind of push them off the edge. So why? They don't got to pay for them no more, and it's, the problem's gone, so to speak.
Yep. And then you got your famous governor that just said that it'll be $20 an hour for minimum
Don't ever
wage
call
in
that fool
California.
famous ever again, man.
Yeah, because we didn't learn our lesson when we made it $15 an hour.
Right. So now that hamburger that you want to go buy, it's going to be $18.
I mean, look.
Oh, I already know, bro. It is already happening here.
Yeah.
Honestly, going out to eat at the fast food, you're better off just going into the restaurant, taking a seat and having a beer and everything else, because those places, see, the minimum wage thing works based off of how many employees you have underneath your umbrella.
Yep.
Not everybody gets that wage. If you're not under the umbrella, like they say, well, you're supposed to have 100 employees here, you only got 80. Well, guess what? You're going to pay them the $20 an hour.
Right.
Because you're supposed to have 100 employees here due to what our math is. Someone's formula they made up. And then they say, well, your business is supposed to have this many. And then they go to look at it and they go, oh my gosh, if I employ this many people, I can't even be in business. So then they try to do it all with less, but then they got to pay them more.
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, it's a really bad situation that's going on, because, you go raise minimum wage up, everything else around it's just going to go up with it too. And who always does the money go back? Whose pockets does it affect? The consumer. It ain't going to be the business. They're all there to make money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Your $5 Whopper is now $10. You know what I mean?
Is now right here, right now, a value meal, a number one value meal. I just got it the other day. Before you make it large, it is $10.82 for a number one.
Yep. It's $15 for me to go have lunch. If I eat out to have lunch, it's $15 minimum.
Yep.
God forbid you want to take your family out with you. You know what I mean?
I got a 2 cheeseburger large, with a large Coke, the meal.
Yeah.
It was $13.75.
Yep.
The only way that we end up going to some of these fast food restaurants is you got to go through their apps, and you got to do their little value meals and all their little, and then when you get to the window, you give them your code. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you get your little $5 off. But dude, you got to do it.
Play their song and dance. Play their song and dance to get your money off.
Is because I use my rewards and I got a Big Mac with it for free. So for $13, I got a Big Mac, 2 cheeseburgers, and large fries. So I'm never gonna lose any fucking weight, but I got my money.
Right, dude? Because you know what? At that point in time, even if I'm full, just for the whole purpose of it, I'm eating it all. You know what I mean? Like, rather than to go to waste.
Nope.
Shoot.
Yeah, and it goes back to the government, right? It's everything to me. I'm huge in, I don't trust the government. We played that game signing up for the military. I went in with a contract. I was supposed to have a bonus. Never saw that.
No,
I was supposed to go into, what's that?
You got a boner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the big green weenie. That's what I got. And it started there when I was 18, 19 years old, and I'm like, I can't trust these fuckers. And I still, to this day, I question everything that happens, because it's, that's been my experience with it.
No, and that's just it, man. And I mean, it makes it really hard for you to trust them, especially if you really pay attention, like you really have to really pay attention, because the media and stuff like that does a great job trying to portray things and spin narratives and all that stuff. No problem.
Yep.
But you got to look at it deep, man. Like, like we're sitting here talking about the whole Lahaina fires. And then you're seeing them ship off millions and billions of dollars to rebuild countries that we fucking blew up too. Like, dude, like when it came to like Iraq, Afghanistan, not only did we go fuck their shit up, guess what else we went and did? Rebuilt it
better than it was.
Yeah, we gave them new infrastructures and stuff like that. So same thing. Same thing, man. When it comes to this kind of stuff, you're sitting here watching it. You're watching our own, our own countryside burn down. But yeah, we're gonna go here and save. Let's go save the world. These people that absolutely hate us.
Right. Chanting death to America, and then we send them how many billions of dollars?
Go figure.
And and that's the other thing too. Again, I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about these social media farms. I don't know what else to call them, right? But they're buildings overseas, and they're rows of cell phones connected to networks, and they've got them set up to where they're fake social media accounts, and they go in and they find pages that talk about certain things, and they go strictly to start arguments, and it's just bots and fake shit just to create arguments and to create controversy.
It works.
It does work. Yep. And it creates separation between people, and you're arguing with somebody that doesn't even matter, and next thing you know, you're arguing with somebody that it does matter, and next thing you know, you've disowned your brother because he disagreed with your political view. Not
only that, dude, but that's what creates censorship. And this is when, with the AI thing, if they don't like whatever if you say you're arguing back with them, guess what? All of a sudden you get you're the one getting kicked off Facebook, and you got some kind of community guideline thing against you because you went ahead and played the game.
Yeah.
They're sitting there spewing off the same, if not worse, crap.
Yeah.
But you go respond and put your narrative into it, and next thing you know, boom, you're gone.
You're
so
gone.
I mean, you got to look at it too, like these AIs and all that stuff that's put in place is looking for the ones that they don't want on their platforms anymore, and they're getting rid of you, or they're gonna shut you down. That's when they start censoring you, or you hear that whole shadow band, where there's people that can't get their outreach to people and all that stuff because they have a narrative against whatever platform is listening. And it's just crazy how many people are hired, especially now they did this whole the metadata thing.
Yep.
How many people they got hired to just go in there and start doing what they want to do, and everything they use keywords, buzzwords, all that stuff, and you're getting flagged for nothing.
We saw it the other night when we were on the phone call, when we were talking about hero stock down in Rolla.
Yeah.
And Jesse started talking about his stuff, and all of a sudden he disappears off the screen. And then he tries to come back on, and it's all jerky, and you can't understand him. And then all of a sudden he disappears again, and he goes, dude, I got full bars. He had a full 100% power on his phone, but he couldn't connect because of what he was talking about.
Yep.
And it's like, you got to be careful about what you say, or you're gone.
Well, dude, what you want to say, be careful what you say. It's crazy how much you can talk about around your cell phone. Go on to Facebook and guess what's in your feed?
Yep.
Some shit you were just talking about, bro. And I mean, it's just crazy.
I'm not going to say that it was related, but at one point we had 3 listeners, and we started getting deep into the government part of the show, and it went 3 to 2.
Yeah. All of a sudden, they all dropped off at one time, right?
Like it wasn't even like 3, 2, 1. It went 3-0.
We were up to 7 at one point. I don't know if you saw it all the way to that. So I mean, yeah, dude, we could start getting ourselves a little censored. But you know, I feel like the way that I'm trying to portray all this is I just want to throw it out there, both sides.
Yeah,
sure.
I want to hear both sides' stories.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want to hear it and give me all your facts. You know, because I really rely heavily on the facts.
Right.
And if you got a lot of facts to back up what you say, shit, you can get me on board real quick.
Right.
You know, but when I start seeing holes and stuff in your stories, man, you know what I mean? That's when you start losing me.
Yep.
But I can jump on anything that has some good facts or some good, you know, data to back up what it's saying. You know, there is some kind of weird shit that's involved with Lahaina,
right?
And the fires over there. Like I said, it's a tropical island, bro. I've been there. It's, you know, I live in the desert, and we've never had no blazing fire like that ripped through here. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, so right where it should. I have wind. I have gusting wind here, bro. We hit into 60, 70 miles per hour. You know what I mean? Easily. So is there something weird going on there? Yeah. I mean, but the hard, everything that makes everything always hard is how much convolution you get.
Right. Yeah.
But it is weird. It is a weird situation, bro. I mean, no matter how you want to look at it, it is kind of a weird situation. There are some reports that kind of make you wonder, like they saw lightning strikes or whatever, but that could be easily a down, a wire, electric wire, because they do like make like laser, shows and stuff. But I don't know, man. Every time you hear something and then you start hearing about the cover up side, it always makes you think, bro. It does make you think.
Well, there's always 3 sides to the story.
Yep.
There's the right side, the left side, and the real side.
Right. 100%.
You know, and
somewhere in that middle.
Right. But again, how do you decipher? You can't use any media source to be able to decipher what's really real.
I'm going to tell you, it comes down to this. It comes down to how bad do you really want to know? How much are you willing to dig and put into it yourself?
Right.
And how much are you willing to think for yourself? Those is what matters, right? And unfortunately, most people are willing to read the headlines and skip to the middle and then drop to the end.
Right.
And make their determination from there.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to do your due diligence, and you can't always rely on just one source. You know what I mean? You just can't. You can't rely on just one source. It may not be the right source. You got to go to multiple sources.
Yeah.
Even sometimes, even your own network, that you rely on heavily. I wouldn't always just trust them. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to go and you got to make sure. That's why I'm a firm believer in trying to get both sides of the story and hear them both. You know what I mean? Yeah, you got to put your personal shit aside and hear both sides of a story. Bring them both down to the table, so to speak, and lay it out. And then okay, oh well, shit, they got a good valid side, or this, or this is valid,
right?
Type of thing. But I don't know.
Yeah, I actually watched. So I sat down after the debacle of a withdrawal from Afghanistan. I sat down and turned on the news, and I turned on Fox, and I watched Fox for an hour, turned on CBS for an hour, turned on CNN for an hour, and literally went through the news channels just to see. And like Fox, it was right at the same time that Texas did that abortion thing where they outlawed abortions in Texas. And like I watched Fox for that hour, and it was 98% of it was talking about the withdrawal from Afghanistan and how butchered it was, and 2% was talking about the Texas abortion thing. Well, then I flipped over to CNN,
and it was 2 minutes of this amazing, deal that we're leaving Afghanistan finally, and 98% of how terrible it was that Texas banned abortions. And it was like literally like the news channels were like, there was no news channel where they gave 50% of the time to telling the truth about the withdrawal from Afghanistan, and 50% of the time telling the truth about Texas doing their abortion thing. It was so crazy to me to sit down and just, because I was like, I've got to see this. I have to see how it plays out on each channel. And I literally sat there for like 5 hours and watched news, and that's the most news I've watched in I don't know how long.
I'm kind of curious. I want to take a vote on two things. All right. This topic that we just had. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Do you think there's a conspiracy or no conspiracy?
I'm in between, man. I mean, I feel like I feel like for me there's not enough information. I feel like ask me that question 5 years from now.
All right. The withdrawal from Afghanistan. You feel there's a conspiracy there or no conspiracy?
Bad leadership.
Yeah, I don't feel there's a conspiracy.
That's bad leadership
bad
right there. Bad decisions. Yep. And that could be this. That could be a lot. That's where I'm kind of at with the Hawaii thing too, bro.
Me too.
Is I feel like I'm with you, Donald. Is it could be a leadership deal.
I think both of these situations was piss poor leadership, right? I think the withdrawal from Afghanistan came down to our leadership was afraid to spark anything back off again and cause us to have to stay. So we said, fuck it, you killed 13 of ours, we're leaving. That's literally what we did. And it's not right, but that's what happened. We paid the Taliban to not hurt us, not to attack us, and in return, we're giving you money, and we will not shoot you. We refused the right for our snipers and our military personnel to shoot the target that was identified as being the bomber, and it caused 13 people to die, and we packed up and we left. Because if we would have responded, we would have gotten back involved with fighting the Taliban, and it would have caused us to stay. And they were afraid to kick it back off again.
I totally agree with that. I think there's a conspiracy theory in Hawaii just because there's going to be a shift. And I think somebody set the fires. I don't think it was down power lines. I think it was set. And I think there was accelerants added to make it burn as hot as it burned and as fast as it burned. And I think you're going to see a lot of those locals that grew up there end up getting pushed out because they can't afford to rebuild.
So I would agree with part of that. I would agree that when I say that there was not a conspiracy, I'm not saying that the fire wasn't accidental. It very well could have been arson. And the result could result into globerations coming in and taking advantage of it and people getting fucked, because that usually does happen. I don't think necessarily the two things. I would think that in order for it to be a conspiracy, the two things would have to be aligned, meaning that the globerations would have to have paid somebody to start a fire to come in to do it. And I don't think that happened. But yes, I do agree that it very well could have been arsoned. And I didn't go back and look, but I do remember, wasn't it not too long? Wasn't there an active volcano actually going on somewhere in that area at the time?
I wouldn't say there was some kind of active volcano, but the time frame is relatively
close
in there.
Really the right time, but so I mean, yeah, I don't know what the weather was, whether they had any rain, if the area was extremely dry at the time, but that land is like extremely clayish, so I mean it's gonna hold water. So I
Right.
can't imagine that it's like a desert over there.
No,
You know what I
it's
mean?
definitely not. So I'm
I
gonna say
I can't
think,
imagine down
sorry.
the line would just like spark like California, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I'm gonna say two things to this, and kind of where I'm at with it. So, the one thing is in the poor leadership defense. Did you probably ever think you're gonna have a blazing fire on the island? Were you prepared for a fucking blazing of fire? Maybe not. You know what I mean? Because
a fire in a fucking snowstorm. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's not that it's impossible, but I just don't think that you go through life thinking you live in a tropical fucking rainforest, where you get rain a lot more than that, and everything's there pretty much as lush as green. I've been there, man. I've been it's a beautiful island. It's not. I live in the desert, so I've been literally in the desert where you could see something like that happening. So I guess what I'm just saying is over there, the way they reacted, they probably didn't know how to react. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit, we haven't had a fire on this island in I don't know how many years to this extent. What do we do? Holy shit, fire department's over there fucking there at the pool table, they haven't had a fire in years like this. So I mean, now everybody's probably lack of trained. This is probably going to spark a whole different thing. The second thing I got to say is I think it's kind of premature to call it or not call it a conspiracy, to be honest with you. Because I feel like there still needs to be more time. This is literally just happened in August, right?
Yeah.
We're just in October. So we've had about 2 months go time in this shit, man. Stuff's still popping off. You know what I mean? So next couple of years, when you start seeing new development going down, and then the way the layouts start to look, and if it's more resorts versus homes and things that used to be there, well, then you're going to get that tall tale of like, well, shit. Then it starts to really start opening more questions. Was it planned? Was it just an accident? And now we're opportunists. We're going to take an opportunity from it.
If we can confirm that it was arson, and then you can confirm who it was, if it was some sort of low life nobody versus somebody that you would think, okay, this guy might have ties with bigger people. Yeah. That could change my view, but if it was some dude off the corner, that was just pissed off and was trying to burn something, then it'd be a little bit different. I can't see a major organization, but you start talking about gangs or the local group. Yeah, if I was a major real estate company and I wanted to do this, that's who I would go after. I would go and try to go to the local gangs that is willing to work for big time money, that's not going to say a fucking word.
Yep.
One that's moving real fucking product, that's a businessman, not fucking selling shit off the fucking corners, and let him deal with the low lifes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And if you start seeing that kind of development, yeah, it would change my mind.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, is much technology and stuff that they have today, there hasn't been any reports yet of actual active arsonist. Because to be an arsonist in this situation, you would have to really have a concoction. It ain't just like going over there lighting on a little fucking leaf on fire, then the next thing you know, you got this blazing glory of fire. And not only that, the windstorm was absolutely blowing it and howling, so it's not like a little match and throw it in the fucking thing started it either. So
trying to buy an area that people weren't willing to sell. They weren't trying to buy the whole fucking island.
Right.
fucking dumbass fucking decided to do it on Tuesday when the wind was 70 fucking miles per hour.
Right.
And I mean, it ain't too far fetched to think that some of those ambers and shit fucking floated, off and got somewhere else. But I don't know. The region is pretty mountainous in some areas, so it is kind of hard to believe that it got so into some of those remote areas. So it is kind of weird, I think, when you look at the map of it all,
especially how wet the ground is.
That alone, man, that alone. Like, here's the map again. You
It's a long way for an ember to travel.
Yeah.
Right. Especially from Lahaina all the way over to this middle.
Right.
And these mountain areas, when the wind changes. So your thermals, right, will go down in the morning times. And in the evening times they rise. So like when you're hunting, you want to be in the lower parts of the ground. So if you're hunting on a ridge, right, you want to be lower in the morning times. So when the thermals come down, you're already in the lower area, so it doesn't carry your scent down. And if you're hunting in the evening time, right, you want to be, I said it backwards, I'm sorry. You want to be up when the thermals are coming down so that it doesn't carry your scent. And then when they're coming up, you want to be up so that it's carrying your scent away from where you're hunting, right? So you think about this, right? You're talking about all these areas where the wind is going to swirl as it's going through the mountains, around the mountains. It's swirling. Your thermals are going up and down and carrying this shit. It's hard to believe that it's like a flat wooded area where it's just going to cut a path. That wind is going to move it, and then it's going to move it back, and then it's going to move it again. It's going to carry a path that you would think that it could be controlled.
Right.
I mean, I'm not no fucking backblast area all clear kind of guy, but I would to me that makes sense that in those areas where there's mountains that wind is going to swirl as it's hitting the ridges.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it's in a valley. I mean, obviously.
Is it just the red area that got burned? Is that?
Yeah. So all the way up to the upper left part that's Lahaina, you see, and then in the middle, those were all those other spots.
So how did it pass this fucking
all that
area? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This makes sense because it's contained in this area where the wind is going to swirl. It's coming off of this whole valley area right here, coming back off this ridge here, back out to sea. The wind is basically coming in and out off of the ocean.
Right.
How is it crossing over the top of that fucking thing? Unless it's coming out to sea and back over and not hitting the water and fucking, it's like super fucking, and then it just magically burns through fucking wet ass grass.
Well, so that's the part that makes you really wonder, man.
Yeah, it's got this spark that's so fucking hot that it can travel fucking 35 miles through the air and burn wet ass grass.
Right.
No, and when you look at the locations of it all, and then you start to add in the fact of the moisture, it really starts to kind of make you wonder, dude, like, what the, like,
All right, I'm starting to get here. All right.
Right. Yeah. See,
that's just it. Like, I guess for me, I always automatically jump to that. There's something behind this because you're always waiting for that next event to happen.
Yeah.
To make it worse, to make us fear, make us live in panic, and that's, so for me, I automatically jump to that spot, and then you have to prove to me why I need to back off of that. So that's why, like, with that,
I think there's a conspiracy behind it. I think the fires were set. I think there's bigger players involved in it. And I think, like Brian said, time will tell. And I think it's going to come out in the end that that's the way it was.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think about 5-10 years from now is about a good about 5 years, probably maybe even 3 years. You'll start to see like land development and large masses of land being bought. And
but
then
by then we're gonna be on number 485.
Oh yeah, bro.
You know what I mean? It's that's back in
another
the trash
conspiracy
can.
that they're gonna throw us down and throw so many things at the wall at you.
Yep, exactly.
The value of America might be cheaper because it might all have fucking radiation in it from the fucking nuclear war. So.
Right.
It depends on where we fare out in the World War III situation.
if we can launch first, that may save us. But
who pushes first?
It's quite possible.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, guys. Well, do you guys have anything else on the Lahaina fires that we want to cover?
I don't think so.
No, I think we kind of beat that horse to death. Now, Double D, man, what you got for us on the next topic? What's going to be?
Well, I think we decided we're going to go ahead and do the Israel and Iran and all that stuff over there. So
yeah, it seems like it's probably about a good one to do. It's a hot topic right now. I definitely want to show the two different sides of the story, man. Because, bro, it's crazy, huh?
Yep.
Throw Ukraine, and it's not so much the Ukraine and Russia, but I want to throw where I want to show a trend how the United States was here, and now all of a sudden we're jumping over here, and show this talk about how where our money is flowing in all these different directions. All right, not to say that just because that's happening that there's a conspiracy. But I want to show the whole picture. And I think in order to do that, you got to bring Ukraine into that. I don't think the Ukraine and Russia war really has anything to do with us. That's more of a NATO fuck up, to be honest. We were a part of that, but that was a whole NATO signed an agreement and we were part of that, saying that we will not take on any former Soviet Union countries onto NATO. And then they were like, well, hey, Poland, come on in. We'll take you.
Right.
We want to come too. And they were like, well, come on in, Ukraine. And that's what pissed them off. So that's a whole different topic. But this Israel shit and Iran, that is a whole nother situation. So for the fighting and the war part, we'll talk about that. But the money part, we're going to bring Ukraine into that part.
I think you could even take it back to Iraq with the money part.
You can. Absolutely. You
can. And Afghanistan with the weapon part.
You can if you go all the way back to when Russia invaded Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Because we're the ones that sent the weapons over there, and we're the ones that taught Afghanistan how to take the helicopters down. They couldn't figure out how to shoot the helicopters down. So that's the reason why we lost so many helicopters over there, because we taught that they were trying to shoot the helicopters head on. And we taught them to let the helicopters pass and shoot them from behind.
Right. Yep.
So,
well, yeah, I think it's going to be a great topic, man. And it's definitely one of those ones, if we get to talking, we won't stop.
but by next Friday, we may have a new conspiracy theory. So
you never know. Yeah, the world we live in, that's all we get.
Or from a bunker, who knows?
Right. Exactly.
Well, hey, Jason, we appreciate you stopping by, man, and hanging out with us, brother.
Yeah, man, I always appreciate being on with you guys.
Hell yeah, man. All right, brother. All right, Donald. Well, hey, man, I'm excited about next week. The next topic's going to be a fun one. Definitely look forward to it. And have a great weekend, brother.
You too, man. This was a blast. It felt good to finally get back on the mic.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm glad to see you. And yeah, he definitely missed you, man. So glad we're back at it. All right, brother.
Later.
All right, until next time. Arr.